Hey, boys and girls, we are going to finish our story for the week, Knots on a Counting Rope. So we're going to actually reread the page that we stopped on yesterday or the other day. If you remember, here's that last picture of the boy, right? And he's describing what blue is. And look at him carefully and closely. I wonder, some of you might know what's happening in the story, and some of you might be still a little bit confused. Right? We're learning about how characters can tell stories, right, and share experiences and information through what they say. So this grandfather, right, is talking with his grandson and sharing the story about the time he was born. Okay, we're going to reread this part. I want you to be looking at this illustration. Here's the grandfather on a horse. Here is the grandson on a horse. We've got a little bit to go today, and we're going to talk about what is actually happening in the story. And we're going to focus today on the grandfather, what he's like as a character, right? When we really think about the characters in the story, it helps us to understand what's happening and why it's happening. Okay, there was a sweep of blue in the rainbow, boy. That morning your horse was born. Oh, tell me that part, grandfather. I could not see the rainbow, but I can still feel its happiness. I awakened you, boy, during the night, remember? Just before the foal was born. And you said to me, come, boy, Circles is ready to foal. The colt will be yours. It was a long night of cold rain, and we put a blanket over Circles, grandfather, to keep her warm. Yes, boy, as the sun came through the clouds, the foal was born, and a rainbow danced across the sky. It was a good sign, boy, and I named the little wet foal Rainbow. You have trained her well, boy. Rainbow is smart, grandfather. Like you, she is good at remembering. So we've learned a little bit about why the boy now has this horse, right, as a young boy. It's important here. Grandfather says that the boy has trained her well, giving him compliments. I think that's a kind thing to do. He also says that she, the horse, Rainbow, is smart like the boy. Right? He's giving him compliments and says she is good at remembering. So we know the horse is good at remembering and the boy is good at remembering. I wonder if you know why the boy has to remember so many things. Rainbow is my eyes, grandfather. She takes me to the sheep, wherever they are, and when I am ready, she finds the way home. No one thought you could teach her to race, boy. But I did, grandfather. Every day, day after day, we followed you along the trail, and you let me hold the reins. You traced the trails in your mind, boy, both you and Rainbow. Yes, grandfather, we learned the trails by heart. Up South Mountain to Granite Rock, down the steep shortcut to Meadow of Blue Flowers, then straight across the Red Flats to Lightning Split Tree, then down the switchbacks to the Canyon Trail, and on around to the finish line. I learned from Rainbow when to turn by the pull of her neck and by counting her gallops. Now tell me again about the race, grandfather. So he's learning from this horse, right? They're tracing their trails. Those of you who are in Mrs. Linderman's class, some of us read Stone Fox. It's kind of like Stone Fox and Little Willie as they practice their path for their race. It was a tribal day, boy. You and the other boys were at the starting line, but you pulled back. I was afraid, grandfather, until you called to me. Tell me again what you said. I said, don't be afraid, boy. Trust your darkness. Go like the wind. And I leaned forward on Rainbow's neck. I gathered her mane tight, and I said, go, Rainbow, go. You can see he's holding on to her mane right here, and he's being told to trust his darkness. I could feel the pushing and crowding and galloping thunder all around me. Rainbow and I were twisting, turning, galloping, 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 counting the gallops, remembering the way. And what did the people say, grandfather? They said, "Who is that boy riding bareback, that's without a saddle, racing the race with all of his heart?" And you said, "That is Boy Strength of Blue Horses. He and his horse are together like one." Yes, boy, that is what I said. But I didn't win, grandfather. No, but you rode like the wind. The wind is my friend, grandfather. It throws back my hair and laughs in my face. You see the wind better than I, boy. I finished the race, hot and dusty, sweat dripping from my face. And you were smiling, boy. I wasn't afraid, grandfather. I could see through the dark every turn of the race. Rainbow and I knew the way. Now, he says he could see through the dark. Remember they talked about having dark curtains earlier in the story? Is it dark outside? It's not, right? We can see the blue sky and the clouds. So think to yourself, why would the boy be seeing through the dark or seeing darkness? You were crossing dark mountains, boy. Tell me again what you told me then. I like to hear it over and over. I said, "Boy, Strength of Blue Horses, you have raced darkness and won. Now you can see with your heart. Feel a part of all that surrounds you. Your courage lights the way." And what did the grandmother say? You tell me, boy. I know you remember. Yes, I remember, grandfather. The boy asks a lot of questions, doesn't he? Do you remember back at the beginning of the story when he was begging, please tell me the story one more time, right? He's heard it before, but grandfather tells him over and over. I wonder if you're thinking about these knots on this counting rope. Remember, grandfather says at the beginning that he's going to tell him, and this might be the last telling, right? So we know he's definitely an old man, right? He's not going to be around forever. I wonder what that has to do with the counting rope and all those knots. Let's finish the story. They said, "This boy walks in beauty. His dreams are more beautiful than rainbows and sunsets." Now, boy, now that the story has been told again, I will tie another knot in the counting rope. When the rope is filled with knots, you will know the story by heart and can tell it to yourself. So that I will grow stronger, grandfather? Yes, stronger, strong enough to cross the dark mountains. Do you remember we talked about dark mountains? Right? Literally, they're mountains with no light because they're dark, right? But he's not talking about that. He's talking about a non-literal understanding, something with a little hidden meaning. Dark mountains, right? Hurdles, difficult times in life, right? He's telling the boy, you're going to be very strong, and you're going to have enough strength, right, to get through all those dark mountains that you are going to encounter in your life. I always feel strong when you are with me, grandfather. I will not always be with you, boy. No, grandfather, don't ever leave me. What will I do without you? You will never be alone, boy. My love will always surround you with the strength of blue horses. So now we know that counting rope, right? Every time he tells this story, he puts another knot in the rope. Look at how many times this boy has heard the story, right? It started here, all of those. I haven't counted them, but I bet there's 15 or so there. Look at, he's almost to the end. So I bet they put that next knot right here. I think this boy has heard the story enough that he could tell it by heart. Okay? What's unique about this boy? What is the darkness that he faces? Why does he rely on Rainbow, his horse, to take him on his journey. He talks a lot about how he can feel things, but what can he not do? He can't see. This boy is blind, right? So his grandfather is helping him by telling him stories, sharing experiences, teaching him the right things, right? So that he'll be able to be strong in life when he grows up, because grandfather's not always going to be there to protect him. So he's teaching him, right, the ways to be strong by telling him stories over and over again. Okay, so he's got dark curtains because he doesn't literally have curtains over his eyes, but they're dark. He can't see, so it's like having the curtains shut. I want you to be thinking about grandfather. I made a little web here, right, about grandfather, and I thought he's always complimentary. He's saying nice things. That means he's really kind. I think he's very proud of his heritage, right, his Native American past, and he's very proud of his grandson as well. His grandson was born blind, and he can ride a horse, right, and race in a race. I also think grandfather's extremely patient, right? And I wrote down page 6 because that's where I first noticed his patience. The boy keeps asking him over and over to please retell the story, right? And grandfather says, "Oh, you know the story," but he talks him into it, right? So the grandfather has obviously told the story, right, a lot, because we saw all of these knots in the rope, so that we know he's told that story many, many, many times. I also wrote the adjective supportive. I think grandfather is very supportive of his grandson. He wants him to be strong and to be independent and to be able to do things on his own, because he knows he's going to encounter some difficult things in life because he can't see, right? When you lose a sense, you don't have a sense, you have to rely on all of the other senses that you have. So he definitely uses his ears and what he feels in his body and what he smells with his nose, right, to help him get through life. So today, we're going to be thinking a lot about how grandfather is as a person and how his character traits contribute to the story and how important they are. Okay, so we want to be thinking of all different types of traits that we could describe grandfather. And then we're going to be thinking some more today about the story and kind of digging a little bit deeper when you're answering some questions today.